Know what it means for you to come here all the way from Houston to support Tasha.
Listen, I mean, Tasha Cobbs sounds like, you know, it's almost like she's this generation's Mahalia Jackson.
Wow.
You know, Mahalia Jackson, the thing that caused her to be the first gospel artist to sell 1 million records was she was singing like that when no one knew who she was.
Yep.
And she kept that throughout her life. She loved the Lord. The world caught on and called it art. She called it worship. Now, we know that it's a record, there's a business side to it, but I believe Tasha's goal is to touch God's heart. Like if God had a radio in heaven, she would want him to play her music.
Absolutely.
That's her goal. And if people catch on, that's great. That's why.
Tasha believes this. She doesn't just do this. So that's the difference too. I feel like she believes in everything that she is singing about, everything she writes about. She puts her heart, foot, feet, hands all the way in, and she doesn't leave anything on the table. She sings like it's her last time every time.
Yes, God. And I think the other thing is, in an era where there are some people who are in the gospel industry who may sometimes feel like they're above, you know, others, she's a great example of staying humble. Because I think all of us in the gospel community could get a lesson in remaining humble and being very grateful, because these platforms are not ours. They're given by God to glorify him. We don't need no gospel stars. Stop wearing sunglasses at night. You know what I'm saying? Stop not speaking to people. You ain't that amazing. When Jesus touched lepers, spoke to prostitutes, talked to Syrophoenician women, talked to the Samaritan woman. We need gospel artists who will touch the people and be loving and humble. Preach or sing, do what you're supposed to do, treat your family right, go home. That's what we need, and that's what she is. She's down, and that's why
how faith is merging with mainstream. Let us know, like the song with her and Nicki Minaj. Let us know your thoughts on that.
Go ahead, boo.
Tasha let us hear that song, and I was in tears because I think that people, I think in this day, feel like we're only supposed to commune within the walls of the church, but the true ministry is outside of the walls of the church. I mean, what Nicki does for a living is what she does, but she absolutely knows him, she loves him, and she connected to Tasha because she could see that Tasha was real.
Yes.
A lot of times, the people in the secular world, if you will, don't connect with us who call ourselves Christians because we think we're above everyone else, and we portray this perfection that seems unattainable, and people can't relate to perfection, but they can relate to real, and Tasha is real, and I think it is a beautiful thing that they have a collab because people who listen to Nicki may not have ever heard of Tasha, but now they get a glimpse of grace by listening to that record with Nicki on it. Love it.
Now, let me ask you this. When people say, what do you think about Nicki singing? Here's my thing. Who's allowed to worship God? Who's allowed to worship? You know, I go back to a few years when Kanye West did Jesus Walks.
Absolutely.
And he was nominated for a Stellar.
And people were mad.
And people were offended. And I'm like, you're offended, but we got gospel artists who are sleeping with everything moving, but you can still sing,
Wow.
right? You got a little bottle under your cabinet, but you still singing, right? You got a family on the other side of town and you married, but you still singing. So you don't get to tell people who can and can't worship God. If Nicki wants to worship God through her gift, then let her do it. You don't know how long the process of salvation and sanctification. Conservative people get offended because salvation is a moment you confess it with your mouth.
Yeah.
Your salvation don't have nothing to do with your process of becoming more like Christ. That's a job of the Holy Ghost.
Right.
And it might be your whole life, like the thief on the cross. He got saved with 1 second on the clock. But as long as you're alive, you got a chance. Church folk, good judges of other people's sins and great lawyers for their own.
Come on. Thank
Stop.
you.
So just leave her alone. Let her worship.
That's
And,
right.
and that's between her and God.
And if Tasha was the open door, then we need more Tashas, right?
Got that right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.